implications for the business. But Oscar said, do not fear, I'll come back the next day. New statement. The truly horrific event that occurred on this flight has elicited many responses from all of us. Outrage, anger, disappointment. I share all of those sentiments, and one above all, my deepest apologies for what happened. Like you, I continue to be disturbed by what happened on this flight, and I deeply apologise to the customer forcibly removed and to all the customers aboard. No one should ever be mistreated this way. Do you feel a bit better about him now? I do.
It's certainly better.
Yeah. I know he's apologising and not saying sorry, which to my British ears are kind of, I think sorry feels more genuine and apologise a bit more corporate. But it took him a while to get there. And he probably only did it because the stock price plummeted. So that's a worry, isn't it? Now, we've been talking about this airline in particular, but we don't have to go as far back as a year ago to look at how other organisations handle crises and how they use language in a way that can make or break their business or their brand. So talking of crises, who's been to Kentucky Fried Chicken recently?
I was talking about that.
Were you? And why?
Because they're like, I'm hoping that they show us this example of what they did.
Yeah. You've seen it, have you? Have you seen the apologies? What do you think about it?
It's great.
Yeah, why?
Because it was fun,
Yeah.
light-hearted, and it hit their consumer.
Any other thoughts?
It tackled the subject at hand as well.
Yeah?
They didn't try to hide.
No. Okay. I get that some people might find that a bit offensive. I mean, French Connection have been doing this for forever, so, you know, it isn't actually new. I can get that might kind of ruffle a few feathers. It was a brave thing to do, and it paid off, didn't it? Anybody scroll Twitter to see what people are saying about it? Cheeky. God, that's quite a nice way of, you know, talking about a swear word and saying it was a cheeky thing. The perfect response. Yeah. When was the last time somebody was tweeting about the company that you work for and said that you hit the perfect response to a problem? It doesn't happen very often. Do you know why I think that worked for them? I don't work with, full disclosure, we don't work with KFC. I'm a vegetarian, for goodness sake. I don't even like the place. But I have to go because I have young children. But I think they got this spot on because they have a tone of voice, because they have a verbal identity, because everybody in the business, whether they're a marketer, so actually officially writing in your name, or just writing, knows how to communicate in a way that builds the brand. And I kind of liken it to fire drills. If we think about, you know, if there's an emergency here, we all know what to do. We practice it. We know who the fire marshals are. We know the assembly point. What happens when the people in your organisation maybe have to communicate? Maybe they're in a spot of trouble. Maybe they've been cornered by the press. Maybe they have to respond to a tweet. Do they know how to communicate in a way that's going to support your business? I think really strong brands have people equipped with a tone of voice, a set of guidelines, a set of way of using language that represents and builds their brand. And then they get stuff like the chicken crisis, they handle it pretty well. Okay, so words mean business. Number 2, why we should care about words. Everything is external. I visited with my colleague Andrew, we were at an internal comms conference last year in Berlin. And I actually think that internal comms is dead, personally, as an industry, because there's no such thing as internal comms anymore, is there? Everything we do at work, we have to write as though the world is looking at us. Because all you need is a disgruntled employee, just been kicked out, gets onto their Facebook feed, that's it. It's all over the place. And this happens all the time. We're always tweeting when we're unhappy as consumers. Why wouldn't we do this as employees of places as well? Again, when we communicate in a way that we know that the whole world is looking, that's going to change the way we use language and also help support and build our brand. So I have another example of a business that didn't get that spot on, and it's from Merck, but this is not from Attila's Merck, okay? This is the US Merck, okay? I just want to say that really clearly because it hasn't got their beautiful logo. I love their rebrand. So what happened? Quite a while ago, Merck issued an internal memo. I don't work for Merck, I've never worked for Merck. But I found this internal memo without breaking into a sweat on the internet, and it was about jobs being cut. But what were people saying about it, the way that the president talked about it? Well, they were using everything but saying they were chopping jobs. We need to manage our expense base. We need to restructure, having a restructuring exercise, doing everything they could to avoid explaining what they were actually doing. And that's outrageous. You know, everybody sees this, people ridicule the company. Everything we write, everything the people in your teams are writing, however junior they are, could be external. So have that in the front of your mind when you're talking to your colleagues about your brand, your products, your services, and thinking about what kind of a message we're getting across. Because of course, words count because they help build your brand. So last year, I was lucky enough to go out to our New York office, and we took some clients out to a bar. We'd done a big project with them. End of the project, took them out to a bar for a drink. So we got to the area that they'd reserved for us, and we found this on our table. How does that make you feel? Nothing. I didn't find that. That's a lie. When I got to our area, they had this one instead. How does that make you feel? Do you like it? A bit cheesy? I don't know. I liked it. I really liked it. Remember what Ateli was saying about brand feeling? I really liked it. But what's more, I picked that up and I took that home with me. And I talk about it when I'm in front of people like you. And the client tweeted it on the night. Now, you can't buy that kind of promotion. It's really powerful stuff. Just by taking care of these small details, you're actually helping to build your brand in every interaction. Care about it. A real cliched example in the UK is innocent smoothies. So cliched that I didn't include them in here, but if you look around their packaging, they care about language at every single point. You look up the bottom. I was in Sainsbury's the other day, and the guy stacking the shelf said to me, lift that up, and I lifted it up and it said, don't look at my bottom. And I was thinking, this is a guy in Sainsbury's, he has no reason to promote innocent smoothies, and he's doing it spontaneously because the language made him feel something. And I bet there are so many pockets in your organisations, parts of your kind of customer journeys, your onboarding experiences when you're getting new clients, products, services. And I bet there are lots of hidden bits of language that maybe you could give it a little bit of care. You could actually use it as an opportunity to build your brand. Get people talking about it. First thing this morning we heard about, starting with zero budget. These are ways that you're actually promoting your brand without even having to spend any money. So, who gets this right? Innocent do quite a good job, and Virgin does too. One of my colleagues from our New York office travelled to Chicago, and they went to a Virgin hotel. I didn't even know that they had hotels until they told me this, and they sent me a photo. Look at that yes button. Isn't that great? Think of all the things they could have said. They could have said guest services, they could have said reception, they could have said housekeeping. But they went with yes instead. I'm going to give you an answer. Quite kind of fitting to the Virgin brand. And I also think that other places that get it right really make sure everybody in the organisation knows how to communicate on brand. What are your lawyers like at writing? Legal. Okay, I'm going to share a bit of legal writing with you. You may have seen it. Came out middle of last year. It popped up in my LinkedIn feed. Did anyone see Netflix's cease and desist letter? Danny and Doug, my walkie-talkie is busted, so I had to write this note instead. I heard you launched a Stranger Things pop-up bar at your Logan Square location. Look, I don't want you to think I'm a total waste of it, and I love how much you guys love the show. Just wait till you see season 2. But unless I'm living in the upside down, I don't think we did a deal with you for this pop-up. You're obviously creative types, so I'm sure you can appreciate it's important to us to have a say in how our fans encounter the worlds we build. We're not going to go full Dr. Bremer on you, but we ask that you please, 1, not extend the pop-up beyond its 6-week running end in September, and 2, reach out to us for permission. If you plan to do something like this again, let me know as soon as possible that you agree to these requests. We love our fans more than anything, but you should know that the Morgan one is not always as forgiving, so please don't make us call your mum. Has anyone seen this before? Great, isn't it? Do you think your lawyers would ever do something like this? Writing a name? This is a cease and desist letter.
That's my neighborhood in Chicago too.
Who is it?
I drink there, by the way. Everybody knows.
So it's a real place. Do you remember when it was hosted last summer?
No, this is down the street from
Yeah, okay, there we go. This is real. I haven't even done a doctor this. This actually happened. Isn't that incredible that people, these are the lawyers working at Netflix, could still communicate a message with its legal weight, with the required gravitas, but still in a way that's true to their brand? I think that's fantastic. And one more, and apologies for our other currency provider in the room. Other day I was updating my TransferWise app on the phone. I don't know if any of you have noticed when you update apps they kind of explain what they're fixing. And now a few brands actually talk to you or give you a little bit of a blurb when they do that. So the TransferWise one told me to sing the update notes to the Spice Girls. In honour of the Spice Girls reunion pic on Instagram, today's release notes should be sung to the tune of If You Want to Be My Lover. I'm not going to sing it, don't worry. So again, true to their brand. Now, one of my colleagues at the writer actually now works at TransferWise, so I kind of texted him and I said, hey, what's going on? Who did you? I bet you did this, I bet you were behind it. He said, no, it was an engineer that wrote this. Think about the engineers in your organisation, if there are any. Wouldn't that be amazing if you had a tone of voice that was so clear, guidance on how to communicate on brand, that you could trust them just to do this stuff and, you know, mean that people like me show it when I'm out and about. Okay, so I promised you 3 tips, 3 things that you can change the moment you leave the conference today, 3 things that you can think about. Here is tip number 1. Stand up for clear language. There's so much nonsense out there. Why can't you lead by the example in your organisation? Speak clearly. Demand that others explain things to you clearly. How many of you use plenty of abbreviations and acronyms in your organisation? Yeah. How many of you work for big organisations where a 3-letter acronym in one part, in one market, means something completely different in another one? Because I've been on those calls and they were talking about different things. We can do better than this. It doesn't matter how great your product is, if it's not clear, nobody is going to be able to understand what on earth it is you're talking about. And then the people around you are not going to see the value that you're adding as marketers to your organisation. You're just going to look like a line item. Be clear about what it is you're achieving. I've got a pharma brand that I think does quite a good job of speaking in clear language. It's not from Merck, unfortunately, but it's an American brand of medicine that you can buy without a prescription. So one of the things that Attila was talking about was the similars on the pharmacy shelves, wasn't he, about how everything looks the same. Well, these guys don't look the same. What do you think? See, I think it's super clever. They're not talking to me in the language of pharmaceuticals. They're talking to me, you know, I had too much wine last night, I'm walking in, this would jump out at me on the shelf. Now what they're selling isn't some miracle drug, you know, it's paracetamol and ibuprofen. They're selling run-of-the-mill stuff, and just by changing their language, they're making it more distinctive. I think that's really powerful if you're in a very competitive market. We've worked with PwC, the professional services firm, for quite a long time, and when we first started working with them, we would put up the About Us blurbs about the big 4 accountancy firms. They couldn't even spot their own words. Like, this is terrifying. Oh, that's definitely us, that's KPMG. Like, if you, working in the organisation, can't even understand what it is you're telling the rest of the world in your elevator pitches, we're in big trouble. They're a little bit better at it now. But try that. Don't assume that the logo is going to do all of that work for you. If you are interested, if you go to Helps, the brand name is Help. They have all of their products lined up as tiles, and they have a few kind of like random ones thrown in. They want help. My girlfriend's dumped me, and you can click on it, and it says we haven't got anything that can fix that. It's just kind of those nice little bits of, rewarding me for having a look around their website to find examples to share with people like you. So, apart from clear language, so watching out for those abbreviations, acronyms, marketing speak that you might be using, perhaps to show that you're an expert in what you do, but all you're doing is not really showing what you're adding to your business. Another thing you can do is just use a short word instead of a long one. It's a really simple thing. It will help improve the readability. So it's picking words like these and swapping them for more natural ones. So we might write to commence. What would we say?
Start.
Assist. In order to? Or to? I have never found an occasion where I could not get rid of in order. Therefore? So? Require? Ensure? Come on, think about it. What do you say? Please ensure you pick up some milk on the way home, darling. What do we say? Make sure. Furthermore? Execute. Yeah, not kill. Very okay? So look at the difference in the word length. Why is it that when we're writing to people, we're talking about commencing or activating it, what are the deliverables? But actually, when we talk to people, we use very natural language. Let's stand up for clear language. Let's write clearly. People often say to me, Georgina, there's no appetite for this in my organisation. I'm like, have you seen your emails? Lead by example. We mirror what we see around us. If people are talking nonsense, new people start talking nonsense. Okay, we're part of the problem, so let's be part of the solution. Really do stand up for clear language in your organisation. And one place we've done a lot of work with is Cisco. So you can imagine, incredibly smart, lots of engineers. How on earth do we market this amazing technology that we make? So we worked with them since 2012. We've been lucky enough to work with lots of people with varying levels of expertise. And some of the things they were producing were at-a-glance guides for their products. Okay, so I'm going to show you a before and after example of how applying their tone of voice improved an at-a-glance guide. Just as an aside, that at-a-glance guide was 3 pages long. I don't know how much you guys can read at a glance, but that's way beyond my capabilities. So from the bottom of page 3, because that's where else would you put the benefits? Right at the end. This is what they said. Originally, the Cisco medical grade network and the solutions it supports provide a scalable end-to-end approach for simplifying operations and helping ensure regulatory compliance. The network supports mobility, unified communications and various applications, including electronic medical records and computerized order entry. Improved efficiency means reduced costs and better patient experiences. Are we buying? Do we know what it does? It does this: quicker, easier healthcare for patients, lower operational costs, compliance with all the latest regulations at the same time. It's possible. On our medical grade network, we offer services that let people work anywhere and work together better. And it's applying Cisco's brand language that has helped us achieve results. They won the bid to be the lead technology providers at the Rio Olympics because of the work that we supported them on their bid. So, this stuff really has a huge implication. Having a brand language can really help your business. I want you to sweat the detail as well. So this is my second tip for you. Really care about the small print, okay? Really don't just think about those big slogans. Care about the little bits of writing too. They're going to build your brand when you do. Now, one of our clients is O2. We've worked with them since 2007. And any of you on O2, mobile provider? Any of you O2? Anyone on O2 Priority? So it's where you can get tickets to things just 48 hours before the rest of the world. And at the bottom of the posters to events, they used to put this: priority tickets is subject to availability. Which you might think is fine, it was in small letters. But we had a chat with the brand team and we said, you know what, they've got this great event, and this doesn't sound like you. Oh no, because it wasn't us, it was the lawyers talking. So we said, can we do something different with it? They said, okay, but you're going to have to get past the lawyers. So we had a conversation with the lawyers. And now it says this: when they're gone, they're gone. Exactly the same sentiment, you were ticking the legal boxes, but on tone, true to O2's brand. And it doesn't just happen here. We've worked with BT as well, and as you can imagine, someone like BT where they have call centres. Anybody have call centre staff here or anything? Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that you have to say in a call centre script that you have to actually transmit to the customer. And we had a look at some of the blurbs that they were sharing with customers about, I don't know, we're going to do credit checks on you, explaining what that meant. Took one script, trimmed 30 words from it. That led to a 13-second reduction in the time it took the agent to read that out. In 6 months, BT saved £500,000. That's on one section from one script. There are ways of measuring that having a tone of voice, that using clear language can actually make a difference. And my third and final tip for you is this: make language your logo. I want your language to be as recognisable as your logos, your fonts, your lookups, your images, because I think the best brands really get this stuff right. Let's see if I'm right though. I'm going to test this out. I've got a few bits of writing from different brands. I want to see if you can guess the brand, okay? So which brand is this? Thank God you got that right. Okay, why did we know it was IKEA? Just their naming system, always consistent with how they're naming their products. Which brand is this?
Virgin Trains.
Yes. How do you feel about it? Instantly as an aside.
I think it's funny when
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Bittersweet, it can take people either way, but it makes us feel something, which is what's important. So yeah, it's Virgin Trains. And what about this brand? Third one for you.
Carlsberg.
Yeah, of course it's Carlsberg. Do you know what's extra clever about putting, instead of saying Carlsberg, saying properly, do you know how they got around the Euro 2016 football? You can't advertise alcohol on the banners, they just put probably instead, and we knew it was them. What word would you use for your business? Is there a word that is as strong as your logo? I don't know the answer to it, but think about it, because that's what really powerful brands do. So, that's all I had for you. I really want you to stand up for clear language in your organisation, because when you do, people will mirror it, and if you have a tone of voice, or if you need a tone of voice to help everybody speak clearly, really think about how it can change your organisation. Care about the small print, people really will appreciate it, and that's when you get those spontaneous net promoted things where people are talking about your brand just because of what you've done. And think about making language your logo. Has anybody got any questions? Okay.
Sorry, you go. Any recommendations of books for us to read? Any inspiration?
So what's his name? It's Byron Sharp. That's a nice book about, anybody read about, I can't remember the name of the book now.
Brian's Grow.
Yeah, so he talks about
yeah.
mental availability and how like logos and things can occupy, and the language of logo thinking kind of links really nicely to Byron Sharp's. Have you read any Chip and Dan Heath's Make It Stick? They've got a really nice book on, they're all about change, ways of influencing change. So if your organisation isn't ready for a tone of voice, but still needs to maybe influence people, it talks about ways of using language to help make that happen. And then nudge theory is another, behavioural economics links really neatly into this. We've done a lot of work with a London council using nudge theory in the way we were writing demands for payment, and people paid on time, so they were delighted. So there's ways of doing that.
And how receptive do you find people initially to actually looking at, because I'm guessing it's quite an intensive thing to overhaul every single communication, internal, external, from the lawyers and everything else?
So it really depends on the organisation. So I'll give you a couple of examples. We worked with UBS, the Swiss bank, for quite a long time, and like many banks, trust plummeted in financial services. So they had their own, burning platform, to use a Nokia metaphor. We had to do something, people didn't trust us anymore. So there was actually direction from the top that they needed to fix so many things, so there was executive buy-in. At Cisco, being an organisation founded by engineers, run by engineers, they just tested it to infinity before they were ready to roll it out in the organisation. So actually testing it with their target buyers, and even in what was really good news for us at the Writer, is even in more staid markets like China, people preferred the bolder style of writing. They preferred, so even there was, so the uplift was 7%, whereas if you came to, Singapore, people preferred it 22% more, but there was still an uplift. So they had a really strong, and also they had feedback from customers just saying, you're really smart, I don't understand what you do though. And even internally feedback. So kind of, they did a lot of, the brand team did a lot of research first to actually make the case internally. And it's been really successful with Andrew Matthew. You've worked with them for 5 years now. I mean, it's almost like painting the Forth Bridge in Scotland. You get to the end and then something else has changed, a new product. So there's continually teams who've got language, or they want to see how it applies in their world. So, anybody else? Okay, we're probably hungry now, aren't we? You can grab me as long as I don't have a mouthful of pasta or something. Thank you very much.
Thank you.